The Tortoise and the Ducks. One day, Tortoise was sitting alone by the duck pond. He was feeling very sad and lonely. He watched the ducks as they swam. He watched the frogs as they jumped, and he watched the dragonflies as they skimmed over the water. Tortoise could only drag his feet along the ground. The ducks, upon seeing Tortoise frown, swam up to him and asked him, "What's the matter?" "You are so lucky, my friends. You can swim and waddle and even fly. I can only plod along the ground, dragging my house upon my back. You see, I have always wanted to see what the world looked like from underwater or above the trees." The ducks quacked and nodded. This was very sad indeed. They did not like to see Tortoise this way. They talked amongst themselves for a minute or two and then came back with a clever idea. "Tortoise, Tortoise," they quacked excitedly, "we can help you fly. All you have to do is hold on to the stick with your mouth, whilst we hold it from either end. Then we can carry you up into the sky. But you must not speak," they warned. "That's easy," exclaimed Tortoise, and off they flew. Just then, Crow flew past. "You must be the king of the tortoises if the ducks are willing to carry you into the sky," shouted the crow to Tortoise. Tortoise, who felt very proud at this remark, started to reply, but just as he opened his mouth, he fell to the ground and cracked his back on the hard stones below. The Crow and the Pitcher of Water. Once upon a time, there was a very thirsty crow. He had not had a drink for many days. He feared that if he did not find water soon, he would die. His wings were weak and his legs were tired, but still he did not give up hope of finding water. Suddenly, just as he was about to collapse, he spotted a tall pitcher with a narrow neck. He summoned up all the energy he had and perched himself on the opening of the jar. He was in luck. Inside was indeed water. Crow's spirits were lifted immediately, but he had to think of a way to reach the water. The opening and the neck of the jar were too slim for Crow to reach the water inside. He had to think fast before it was too late. Just then, like a light bulb turning on, Crow had a brilliant idea. He picked all the small pebbles that were all around him and dropped them into the pitcher. Slowly, the water began to rise. Soon it was high enough for Crow to take a sip, and eventually Crow had enough water to survive another day. The Fox and the Kid. Once there was a young kid who had just grown his horns. He was extremely proud of them and would go about town showing them off. One day, as his flock were leaving this pasture, the kid was left behind. He didn't notice that he was all alone because he had been busy showing off his new horns to a squirrel. Soon it became dark. Fox was in the forest looking for an evening meal. Just then he spotted the young kid and licked his lips in anticipation. He thought, that young kid will be perfect for my supper tonight. Fox approached the kid and bowed. Good evening, young sir. Would you like to come to my house for some supper? The kid knew exactly what the fox was up to, and although he was trembling with fear, he still had hope of outsmarting the fox. Dear Mr. Fox, I know you would like to eat me, and that I am not in a position to outrun you. But do you think you could play me one last merry tune before I become your meal? The fox, who always carried his pipe with him, thought this was a marvelous idea. Yes, Master Kid, you can dance while I play. Fox began to play and the kid danced, and the shepherd dogs who had left with the flock heard the music. They knew exactly who was responsible for this particular tune and ran immediately towards the fox. Kid saw his chance and sprang away as the dogs pounced upon Fox. It certainly was a lucky escape. The Eagle and the Beetle. A long time ago, when Zeus was the king of the gods, animals could talk just like humans. One day, Hare was trying to escape from Eagle. He went to his very best friend, the Beetle, for help. The Beetle begged and pleaded with Eagle to let his friend go, but she would not hear his cries and carried off Hare in her mighty talons. From that day on, Beetle swore to get revenge. Beetle searched high and low for Eagle's nest, and when he finally found it, he rolled out all her eggs so they fell and cracked on the ground. Eagle was devastated, and the next time she built her nest higher up in the ridges of the mountains. Beetle soon found the nest again and again. He pushed out Eagle's eggs, not once regretting his actions. That night, Eagle went to Zeus himself and asked if she could keep her eggs in her lap. She told him that someone was trying to destroy her babies and that there was nowhere safe for her hatchlings to be born. Zeus agreed to help. However, Beetle soon found out and covered himself in dung. He then buzzed around Zeus' head until the great god stood up in irritation. The eggs fell to the ground and cracked open. The beetle had this revenge. He then told Zeus the reason why he had done such a thing, and although Zeus agreed that Beetle was right to be angry, he did not want Eagle to suffer. Please stop this now, Beetle. Eagle has suffered greatly. You have avenged the death of a hare. It is time to make peace. Never, cried Beetle and flew off. Zeus had no choice but to change the seasons so that Eagle now only laid her eggs in the spring when Beetle slept underground. Hi everyone, hope you've liked these stories which I told you now. So next time I would come up with such good stories again. Until then, take care, bye bye. Please do subscribe to my channels to watch my all upcoming videos. Take care, bye bye. Kids, did you like all the stories what I told? Hope you have liked it. Do subscribe to my channel to watch all my upcoming videos. Until then, take care. Bye bye. The Hare and the Tortoise. Long ago and far away, where animals could talk and trees could sing, there lived a hare and a tortoise. Hare was young and handsome and loved to race about the countryside. He had many admirers and would love showing off and poking fun at Tortoise. Tortoise was always too busy to notice napping in the sunshine or reading a book. One day, as Tortoise munched on his favorite flowers, Hare jumped out and surprised him. Tortoise, look at you. You are old and slow, and all you do is eat and sleep. Look at me. I am fast and handsome, and I can be anywhere I want in almost no time at all. Tortoise slowly looked up. He gave Hare the biggest smile he had and said, "Let's have a race then. All around the village and back here by this patch of buttercups." Hare almost fell over. He was laughing so hard, but when he looked at Tortoise, Tortoise looked very serious. This was no joke. "Let's do it," exclaimed Hare. The next day, a huge crowd gathered to watch. On your marks, get set, go! Hare sped off into the distance whilst Tortoise plodded along at his usual pace. Then, just before the finish line, under a shady oak tree, Hare decided to take a nap. He closed his eyes and fell into a peaceful sleep. He dreamed of winning medals and eating carrot cake. The sun began to set and Hare was still asleep. Tortoise silently walked past and made it to the finish line. Before he knew what was happening, a gigantic cheer could be heard, waking Hare up. He raced to the finish, where he was just in time to see Tortoise receive his winning medal. From that day on, Hare never showed off again. The Lion and the Mouse. The jungle was quiet. It was time for all the animals to take their afternoon nap. Lion lay down and stretched out his powerful paws. He yawned loudly and soon fell into a deep and happy sleep. Mouse, on the other hand, was a restless creature. She never slept in the afternoons. She would spend her time looking for nuts and berries or chasing butterflies. As Mouse ran, she tripped and fell. She landed right on top sleeping Lion's paws. Lion awoke with a start, and when he saw Mouse, he roared his most terrifying roar. "How dare you disturb me? I will eat you up, you silly creature." Quickly, she nibbled through the ropes and managed to free the lion. The lion was extremely thankful to the mouse and learned that even a tiny mouse can help a mighty lion. The Fox and the Crow. One sunny day, Crow was out for her usual morning flight. She searched long and hard for scraps and leftovers until she found the perfect piece of cheese for breakfast. With the cheese held tightly in her beak, she flew up to the highest branch of her favorite apple tree. Just as Crow was about to take her first bite of the cheese, Fox came along. He smiled at Crow and she immediately became suspicious. She held on even tighter to her treasure. Fox then sat down with his back to the tree and began to talk to himself. Look at Crow. She is so perfect. Her feathers are so shiny and black, just like the night sky. I imagine when she sings, her voice sounds like the stars. As they sparkle, if I could just hear a voice. The Stork and the Fox. One morning in the great forest, Fox was feeling very bored. He decided to play a trick on his neighbor, the Stork. Dear Stork, would you like to join me for a delicious meal at my house tonight? Fox asked eagerly. Why, that's very kind of you, Fox. Of course I shall come. Later that evening, Fox laid out 2 shallow bowls of delicious smelling soup. He placed one bowl in front of the Stork and invited her to begin her meal. Stork could only wet the tips of her beak, while she hungrily watched Fox as he lapped up his own soup with great enjoyment and ease. Stork did not say a word. Although she was very unhappy at the trick, she only smiled and thanked Fox for a wonderful evening and then invited Fox for a meal at her own home. To repay him for his kindness, Fox agreed, happy that his trick had worked so well. The next day, Fox arrived at Stork's house. He was hungry and was looking forward to a tasty lunch. Stork gave Fox a tall, narrow jar. Inside were tender pieces of smoked fish. The neck of the jar was too narrow to Fox's snout to fit. He could only watch on as Stork easily lifted out the fish pieces with her long, thin beak. Fox was very angry, but he understood what Stork had done. He could never play such tricks on his neighbors again. The Eagle and the Jackdaw. There once was a shepherd who lived in a beautiful green valley. All day long his lambs and sheep grazed happily and grew fat with the fresh grass and beautiful sunshine. One day an eagle swooped down and carried off a lamb in its powerful talons. In the meantime, a jackdaw sat watching from a nearby tree. I could do that, he thought to himself. He drew himself up to his full height and flew into the sky. He circled and swooped just as he had seen the eagle do, and then he dived faster and faster towards the biggest sheep he could find. The shepherd who was watching ran and caught the jackdaw. He clipped the bird's wings immediately so it could not fly away and gave it to his children to keep it as a pet. What do we call this bird? Papa, it cannot fly, asked the children. This is called a jackdaw, said the shepherd. but it thought itself to be an eagle. The Fox and the Grapes. Fox was out looking for a tasty snack. After his rather delicious meal of chicken pie, he decided he would like some fruit and just then spotted a vine high up in the branches of a tree. The vine hung with the most delicious looking grapes he had ever seen. They were plump and red and looked so juicy that they made his mouth water. Fox sat under the tree trying to sit off a way to get all the grapes. When he thought of a brilliant plan, he would jump up and snatch the grapes in his mouth. Fox took a step back, he ran, and then he leaped into the air. He opened his mouth wide and then fell to the ground without any grapes. Not to worry, he told himself. I'll just try again. This time I'll take 2 steps back. Fox took 2 steps back. He ran and then he leaped into the air. He opened his mouth wide and then fell to the ground without any grapes. Not to worry, he told himself. This time I am sure to get them. I just need to take 3 steps back. Fox took 3 steps back. He ran and then he leaped into the air. He opened his mouth wide and then fell to the ground without any grapes. Poor Mr. Fox leaned up against the tree, panting. He was feeling very disappointed. He licked his paws and wiped his snout. Why should I spend my energy on grapes that are sure to be sour? What a waste of time, he said, and then walked away. The Bundle of Sticks. Once, in a village far away, there lived an old man with 7 sons. All day long, the boys quarreled and fought over even the smallest of the matters. Goodness me, it's hot, said the eldest son. Don't be silly, it's just right, said the youngest. You both are blockheads, said another son. There is a terrible storm about to arrive. One on one they would argue, driving their poor father mad. One day their father decided to teach them a lesson. He ordered all his sons to pick up 5 sticks each from the courtyard and bring them to him. He gave each of his sons one of the sticks and asked them to break it. They did this easily and looked at each other in confusion. Perhaps father has gone mad, whispered one of the sons. Their father then bundled up all the remaining sticks and tied them with strong string. He asked all his sons to try and break the bundle. Not one of his sons was successful. See, if you stand alone, divided, you will be no stronger than a single stick. If you work together and help each other, then no one will be able to injure you. The Mice and the Cat. Once in an old mill, a miller lived with his faithful, trusty cat. The cat was a ferocious hunter, and every night she would catch at least one mouse and present it to her master, the miller. The community of mice who lived in the mill suffered greatly at the hands of the cat and decided to hold a meeting to decide what could be done. There were many suggestions, but all seemed dangerous and impractical. Suddenly, one of the youngest mice stood up and called for everyone's attention. I have a brilliant plan, he began. It's quite simple, but it will be very effective. Tell us, shouted the other mice. The young mouse's tail quivered with excitement. His whiskers twitched with glee. He believed his plan was truly amazing. Let's tie a bell around the cat's neck. That way we can all hear when he is coming. What a wonderful idea! Rose the cries from around the room. Everyone applauded. Two of the biggest mice lifted the young mouse up onto their shoulders and paraded him around the room. As cheers were sounded around the hall, just then wise old mouse stood up. He banged his walking stick on the floorboards and everyone stopped to listen to him. Tell me, young mouse, who will tie the bell around our enemy's neck? The young mouse was placed back down on the floor, and all the mice agreed that they would have to think of another plan. Once there lived a woodcutter with his wife. He used to cut wood in the forest and sold them in the market. This was the only means of his livelihood. One day he went to cut wood in the forest. On the way he was singing a song and enjoying the nature and its beauty. Then he saw a very big tree in front of him. He thought of cutting the whole tree to get more wood. As the tree was very big, the wood obtained from it would be enough for his whole life. As the woodcutter picked up his axe to cut the tree, he heard a voice, "Please do not cut this tree." The woodcutter stopped and looked here and there, but found none. He thought it would be an illusion. He again picked his axe and aimed at the tree, but he heard the same words again. "Please be kind to me. Do not cut this tree." The woodcutter again stopped and looked all around, but he could not see anyone. He was quite perplexed. Then a fairy spoke from the tree. "I am a fairy and live in this tree. During the winter I live in the trunk, and for the rest of the year I live on its branches. If you cut this tree, I will be homeless. The winter is approaching fast, and I will die of cold. Do not destroy my home. I will fulfill your 3 desires instead." The woodcutter was very happy. Now he could be rich without doing any work. He accepted the fairy's offer and ran to his house to tell his wife about this. His wife was waiting for him as usual. She was surprised to see that the woodcutter was back so early and said, "You have come so early today, and you're looking very happy. What is the matter? Please let me know." The woodcutter replied, "I got a big treasure today. Though it is yet to come, I will get the treasure soon." And he started dancing. His wife could not understand anything and said, "What is the matter? Tell me clearly. I cannot hold my patience anymore." The woodcutter narrated the whole incident to his wife. His wife jumped out of joy. The woodcutter said, "I am hungry. Give me something to eat." His wife said, "Since you used to come late, I have not prepared anything till now. Wait, I will just prepare something for you." The woodcutter said, "No, do not cook anything. I can fulfill any 3 desires. Now, as the first one, I want sweets and hot pudding." As soon as he uttered these words, a plate of hot pudding came before him.
He ate to his satisfaction, and the plate continued to fill again and again. Then he asked his wife also to eat the tasty pudding, but she was very angry and said, "You have wasted one bone, and now I wish that the pudding should be pasted on your nose." The pudding immediately stuck to his nose. The woodcutter got annoyed and said, "Oh, what a fool you are! What have you done?" He tried to clear the pudding from his nose, but the pudding remained stuck. He scolded his wife and said, "You have wasted the second bone, and we can ask for lots of money." The woodcutter got irritated and said, "Oh, you are a big fool. There is a hot pudding stuck to my nose, and you are asking for money. I wish that the pudding of my nose should vanish immediately." The pudding vanished. The woodcutter heaved a sigh of relief. This way, the woodcutter and his wife lost the golden opportunity of becoming rich. Their luck had knocked at their door, but they failed to avail the opportunity and remained poor as before.
Once there was a dog who wandered the streets night and day in search of food. One day he found a big, juicy bone and he immediately grabbed it between his mouth and took it home. On his way home, he crossed a river and saw another dog who also had a bone in its mouth. He wanted that bone for himself too. But as he opened his mouth, the bone he was biting fell into the river and sank. That night he went home hungry. Moral of the story: if we always envy that others have, we'll end up losing what we already have, just like the greedy dog. There once lived a very hungry wolf who lived just on the edge of a pasture. Every day he would see a flock of sheep enjoying the sweet grass. From dawn till dusk, his stomach would growl and his mouth would water, but he could not get close enough to the sheep to be able to catch them. All day long, the shepherd always guarded the sheep and always managed to spot the wolf before he could approach. Now, one day, the wolf spotted a discarded sheepskin on the ground, which fitted snugly around his own shoulder. He wore it for a day and was able to approach the flock of sheep undetected. Soon a lamb came by and followed the wolf in the sheepskin away from the rest of the flock. That day, Wolf finally had a good meal. "How clever I am," thought the wolf. "I will join the flock again tomorrow, and then I shall have another satisfying meal." The wolf slept peacefully that night, and in the morning he was ready to enter the flock again. Everything was going according to the plan. He even managed to slaughter another lamb for lunch, but in the evening the wolf's luck changed. The farmer decided that he would like a meal of mutton chops for supper. He went out into the flock and took the first sheep he would lay his hands on, which happened to be the wolf in sheep's clothing. The wolf was caught out and slaughtered immediately, and that was the end of that. Bhadra was a powerful warrior and the crown prince of the Kurunji dynasty. He was the son of Queen Sharada and King Rudra, who ruled the territories along the vast expanse of the Gangetic plains. As a young prince, he was trained in warfare and was known for his valor and strength. One day, the young Prince Bhadra decided to go hunting in a nearby forest. As he was riding on his chariot, he saw a monitor lizard basking in the sun, right in the middle of the muddy forest track.
He did not like being stopped by a lizard. He ordered the lizard to move out of his path. The lizard remained indifferent and ignored his warning. "Oh, lizard, you are a lazy creature, obstructing my path. Move away. You don't want to get killed, I suppose. Can you see? I am resting in my usual spot to get some sunlight. If you want, make your way without disturbing me. You are the intruder in my forest, which is my dwelling. Have some reward for other lives too, Prince." "You are truly an insubordinate creature. You do not have any right to speak against the prince of this country. The right punishment for an obstinate citizen like you is to be banished from my kingdom." Bhadra picked up the lizard and threw him aside. He mounted his chariot and went away. Soon he heard the lizard's voice echoing through the forest. "Prince, Prince, you have caused such excruciating pain in me. Your anger and ego have misled you to commit this reckless and cruel act." Bhadra came back to the spot. The lizard writhed and cried in pain. He had fallen on a bush with many thorns that pierced his body. He was filled with remorse on seeing the lizard's plight. "Oh, Prince, I may be a small, lovely creature. You have caused me undue pain for no fault of mine. I curse you, just as I am stuck on a thorny tree and unable to neither live nor die quickly. You shall also face the same fate one day." After 20 years, during a war between the kings of Kuranji dynasty and Prithvi dynasty, Bhadra was laying on the battlefield with his chest, arms and legs pierced by arrows. While enduring pain and awaiting death, he was recounting the lizard's curse to his commanders, who sat around him, saddened with grief. He told his commanders that no creature is lowly and no royalty is mighty in this world. Be kind to all the lives on this land, be it small or big, rich or poor, ugly or beautiful. They are all created by God and have the right to survive. Your future is decided by your actions in the present and the doings of the past. Please be warned that you may have committed some misdeeds out of sheer ignorance. In a village, there lived 10 cloth merchants who always went together to sell their fabrics. They were returning home and had to pass through a dense forest on their way. "We got a good deal by selling our goods. We are returning with a huge sum of money in our pockets. I will take my children to the bazaar to buy them new clothes and crackers for Diwali. As we cross the dense forest, we will have to spend some dark hours on the night in this wilderness. I have heard a lot of stories about the 3 notorious robbers who lived in this forest. They are heartless men who attack people and raid their possessions. They are also very brutal, they say." The merchants got a deal by selling their goods. As he was trying to express his anxiety, the robbers stood in front of them. They had swords and cudgels in their hands. Don't move an inch. Empty your pockets and remove your jewelry as well. Place every single penny on this piece of cloth. You have such a few seconds to do it. Be quick or be prepared to lose your life. Don't harm us. We are ready to submit all our belongings. One of the robbers spread a piece of black cloth on the forest floor. The traders had no weapons with them, and though they were more in number, they had to surrender to the robbers. The robbers were rejoicing and felt happy because they plundered the wealth of 10 rich men, the money that will last a lifetime. They asked the merchants to entertain them by singing and dancing. The merchants were disheartened with the fortunate turn of events. They had lost everything. There was among the 10 merchants one who was very clever. We are anti-men, we are erithman. If each erithman surrend inomen remains. Ta taitom takidina, said the robbers. The clever merchant saw the robbers were about to count the money. He took the lead to dance and began to sing a song. The song had many code words that the merchants used among themselves when they traded and fixed the rate of their goods. The robbers were all uneducated and thought that the clever merchant was just singing a song for them. By the rules of this secret language, Erith means 3, Enti means 10, and Eno means 1. So the leader by his song gave hints to his fellow traders that there were 10 men and only 3 robbers. The 10 merchants understood the code language and nodded silently. We got it. If 3 of us pounce upon each of the robbers, 9 of them could hold them down, while the remaining one could bind the robbers' hand and feet. According to the merchant's secret language, Eno means 1. Meanwhile, the song was sung the 3rd time. Even before the song was completed, the 9 merchants got into groups of 3 and attacked the robbers. See the power of teamwork. We 3 against 1. You are just a single fragile man. Now there are 3 of us. So saying, the clever merchant tied the hands of the robbers. The robbers were helpless and were struggling to get free. The 10 traders returned to their village with all their money and belongings. You saved our lives and also taught us the importance of coming together against a common enemy. You're so clever and prudent. The more we are together, the happier and stronger we become. Whenever they got together, they often amused their friends and relatives by recounting their adventure in the wild forest. They could never forget the new song created with their code language that rescued them. A father and son on their way to school discuss the ethics and values which our ancient leaders practiced. The father narrates an incident from the life of Chanakya, an ancient leader and royal advisor to King Chandragupta Maurya. Son says, "Father, it's time for us to leave for school. You promised to drop me today. Father says, Yes, my son, I am ready to leave. Son says, Let's go in your office car today. It's the latest model. I can step out of the brand new car like my classmate, Manoj. Then all my friends will understand that my father also is an important official in the government services. Father says, No, my son, we are taking our own car since I cannot use the office car to drop you at school. The father and son are driving to school in their personal car. Father shares an incident from Chanakya's life. Son says, Father, I wanted to get dropped at school in your brand new office car. Manoj's father is a top government official and he gets dropped off every day in his father's jeep. He is very proud of his dad, father. Father says, Son, I think one should not feel proud or good based on the type of vehicle, house, or clothes one possesses. We should treat everyone with honor, irrespective of their financial status or family background. Son says, I wanted to go in your office car, just like how Manoj came in the jeep. I thought it was quite normal to do so. I will respect everyone, Father. Father says, Son, I will tell you a short incident that occurred in the life of our ancient leader, Chanakya. He was a great scholar and was the royal advisor to King Chandragupta Maurya. It will help you understand the reason behind not using my official car to drop you. Son says, Sure, Father. Father says, Once a Chinese traveler came to meet Chanakya at his residence. Darkness has set in and Chanakya was busy writing some important official papers under the lighting of an oil lamp. Son says, Okay, what happened? Father says, Chanakya welcomed his guests and asked him to wait. He then quickly completed his official work. Do you know what he did after completing his work? He extinguished the oil lamp under which he was writing and lit another lamp. Son asked, Father, why should he put out the burning lamp and light another one? I am quite curious to know. Father said, the Chinese traveler also asked him the same question. He thought that it was a custom in India to light a new lamp when a guest arrived at their house. Son says, What was Chanakya's response, Father? Father says, Yes, this is the most important part of the incident. Chanakya said that since he was doing his official work, he was using the lamp that had oil, which was bought with the government's money. Now that he was receiving his guest, was having a personal and a friendly conversation, he lit the other lamp that had oil, which was bought with his personal money. He refrained from misusing the lamp for unofficial work. Son says, Oh, now I understand, Father. We should not use the government's money or resources for our personal work. We should save our nation's resources for the work undertaken for the citizens' welfare. Father says, Yes, son, our leaders had high moral standards. They exhibited patriotism by working ethically while using the nation's funds and resources for official duties. Son says, I'm so proud of you, Father. I will tell all my friends today about Chanakya and his moral conduct. We should also follow and uphold the noble values of ethics and patriotism like our ancient leaders. Father says, Son, I am glad you are inspired by Chanakya. Do you know he has written a book called Chanakya Niti? The book contains guidelines or sutras for different situations in life. Son says,
Wow, sounds interesting. I should definitely read it someday, father says. Yes, my son. In the book, a section also describes the ideal path for students and the values they should uphold while acquiring knowledge. Son says, "What values, father?" Father replies, "Chanakya has given some sutras to students for avoiding distractions, gaining knowledge, and performing well in studies. He advises that a student should never get angry or get tempted to eat delicious food. He also states that children should never develop the greed for possessions or indulge in oversleeping or play too much. If a student avoids these habits, he will be able to focus on his studies and achieve good results." Son says, "I also want to follow these sutras. Father, I am sure it will help me do well in my examination." Father says, "Do share Chanakya Sutras with your friends in class. Everyone should learn from our ancient leaders and imbibe the principles they exhibited in life." Son replies, "Definitely, father. See you in the evening and have a great day at office. Bye bye." The summer vacation was over. Gunjan had kept the destination of her summer vacation a secret. Her friends had been trying hard to guess the destination, but failed miserably. Finally, her friends got together during lunch at school. Gunjan had no option but to let the cat out of the bag. Raju initiated the conversation. "I had been to Agra to see the magnificent Taj Mahal and other forts in Fatehpur Sikri." Selvi said that she had visited Chennai and had the opportunity to play on the sandy shores of the Marina Beach. "So, Gunjan, where did you go this summer?" asked Shanti. Gunjan had kept the destination of her summer vacation a secret. "I got an opportunity to explore Northeast India this summer," said Gunjan. "My parents told me that we were visiting 4 states: Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Meghalaya, and Manipur. I searched for more information on the internet. Soon I prepared the itinerary listing all the places I wanted to visit during my travel. First, we headed to the land of the rising sun, Arunachal Pradesh. We started in the early morning to see the rising sun atop the mountain in Dong village. I thanked my lucky stars to have a clear sky that morning. I captured the breathtaking view of the snow-capped mountains soaking in the rays of the rising sun in my camera. You should show your pictures someday to us. I do want to see the photographs after school," said Tenzin. Then she asked Gunjan if she had a chance to visit the Tawang monastery. "Of course, Tenzin. It is the largest Buddhist monastery in India after the Potola Palace in Tibet. A high statue of Lord Buddha dominates the main hall. The great rotating prayer wheels, priceless tankas, the rising intonation of the monks in prayer. Every element of the monastery made the visit an exhilarating experience." Our next stop was Assam. "Did you get to see the one-horned rhino?" asked Abdul. "Yes, we set off on an expedition on an elephant to look at the one-horned rhinos in the wilderness of the Kaziranga National Park. We spotted a rhino who turned around and gave us a serious look. She had a bird perched on her back, feasting on the insects stuck between the thick folds of her skin. My father got a nice Muga silk sari for my mom. Shanti added, Assam produces the finest silk. They get silk from the Muga silkworm. Did you not shop? Gunjan replied, I did my shopping too. I bought a japi, the traditional conical hat of Assam. It is made of bamboo and jap, a bundle of takol leaves. I do want to click a selfie with the japi, said Abdul. Sure, Abdul. Our shopping did not end there. We visited the all-women Ima market in Manipur. It has close to 3,000 Imas who run the shop. I was amazed to see the local women dressed in traditional panics, selling their goods with great vigor. The market attracts many tourists and caters to the locals as well. So, is that all, Gunjan? Looks like you visited every state in the northeast, said Raju. No, Raju, our last stop was Meghalaya. I saw a unique bridge built across gurgling stream in Chirapunji. It is called the Living Root Bridge. To build this bridge, the locals pulled out the roots of the rubber trees growing on either side of the river and tied them. They filled it with mud and rocks. It helps them cross the river during heavy monsoons. It is natural and eco-friendly bridge. The splendor of the mountains, the colorful artifacts, the national parks will remain etched in my memory. It was indeed a memorable holiday. Raju, Shanti, Tenzin and Abdul were enthralled by the vivid description about the northeastern states narrated by Gunjan. The bell rang and lunch break was over. They went back to their desks as it was time for class. Hi kids, today I am going to share and tell you a beautiful story written by R.K. Narayan. Swami and His Friends is a book written by R.K. Narayan. The book is set in the fictional town of Malgudi. The story revolves around the life of Swaminathan, a 10-year-old boy and his friends. So let us read an excerpt from the book and see what happens on an examination day at Swaminathan school. Okay, so let's start off. With dry lips, parched throat, and ink-stained fingers, and exhaustion on one side and exultation on the other, Swaminathan strode out of the examination hall on the last day. Standing in the veranda, he turned back and looked into the hall and felt slightly uneasy. He would have felt more comfortable if all the boys had given their papers as he had done, 20 minutes before time. With this left shoulder resting against the wall, Shankar was lost to the world. Rajam, sitting under the second ventilator between two third form boys, had become a writing machine. Mani was still gazing at the rafters, scratching his chin with the pen. P was leaning back in his seat, revising his answers. One supervisor had dozed off in his chair. Another was pacing up and down with an abstracted look in his eyes. The scratchy noise of active nibs, the rustle of papers, and clearing of the throats came through the brooding silence of the hall. Swaminathan suddenly wished that he had not come out so soon. But how could he have stayed in the hall longer? The Tamil paper was set to go on till 5 o'clock. He had found himself writing the last line of the last question at 4:30. Out of the 6 questions set, he had answered the first question to his satisfaction. The second was doubtful. The third was satisfactory. The fourth he knew was clearly wrong. But then he had not known the correct answer. The sixth answer was the best of the lot. It took only a minute to answer it. He had read the question at 2 minutes to 4:30, started answering a minute later, and finished it at 4:30. The question was, what moral do you infer from the story of the Brahmin and the tiger? A Brahmin was passing along the edge of a pond. A tiger hailed him from the other bank and offered him a gold bangle. The Brahmin at first declined the offer, but when the tiger protested its innocence and sincerity and insisted upon him taking the bangle, he waded through the water. Before he could hold out his hand for the bangle, he was inside the tiger. Swaminathan had never thought that this story contained a moral, but now he felt that it must have one since the question paper mentioned it. It took a minute to decide whether the moral was, we must never accept a gold bangle when it is offered by a tiger, or love of gold bangle cost one's life. He saw more logic in the latter and wrote it down. After writing, he had looked at the big hall clock. Half an hour more. What had he to do for half an hour? But he felt awkward to be the first to go out. Why could not others be as quick and precise as he? He found it hard to kill time. Why wasn't the paper set for 2.5 hours instead of 3? He had looked wistfully at the veranda outside. If only he could pluck up enough courage to hand in the paper and go out. He would have no more examinations for a long time to come. He could do what he pleased, roam about the town in the evenings and afternoon and morning, throw away the books, command Granny to tell endless tales. He had seen a supervisor observing him, and had at once pretended to be busy with the answer paper. He thought that while he was about it, he might as well do a little revision. He read a few lines of the first question and was bored. He turned over the leaves and kept gazing at the last answer. He had to pretend that he was revising. He kept gazing at the moral of the tiger story till it lost all its meaning. He set his pen to work. He went on improving the little clash under the last line, indicating the end, till it began an elaborate, complicated pattern. He had looked at the clock again, thinking that it must be nearly 5 now. It was only 10 minutes past 4:30. He saw 2 or 3 boys giving up their papers and going out, and felt happy. He briskly folded the paper and wrote on the flap the elaborate inscription, Tamil W.S. Swaminathan, First Form, a section, Albert Mission School, Malgudi, South India, Asia. The bell rang in 2s and 3s. Boys came out of the hall. It was a though contrast to preceding 3 hours. There was the din of excited chatter. What have you written for the last question? Swaminathan asked a classmate. Which? The moral question? Don't you remember what the teacher said in the class? Love of gold cost the Brahmin his life. Where was the gold there? Swaminathan objected. There was only a gold bangle. How much have you written for the question? 1 page, said the classmate. Swaminathan did not like the answer. He had written only a line. What? You should not have written so much. A little later he found Rajam and Shankar. Well, boys, how did you find the paper? How did you find? Shankar asked. Not bad, Swaminathan said. I was afraid only of Tamil, said Rajam. Now I think I am safe. I think I may get passing marks. No, certainly more. A class, Shankar said. Look here, Swaminathan said. Some fools have written a page for that moral question. I wrote only 3/4 of a page, Rajam said. And I only a little more than half, said Shankar, who was an authority of these matters. I too wrote about that length, about half a page, lied Swaminathan as his self to his conscience and believed it for the moment.
Long ago, there was a king who had deep affection for all the animals, especially elephants. He had built a very large stable for his royal elephant. A caretaker was appointed to make sure that all the needs of the royal elephant were met. The king had also ordered that special nutritious food be served to the elephant every day to keep him healthy. One afternoon, a stray dog entered the royal stable. The elephant was resting under a shady tree. The dog spotted the food left over by the elephant and ate to its heart's content. The elephant saw the dog eating the leftover food. From that day on, the elephant gladly let the dog share his food. Soon the two became very good friends. The dog started staying in the stable, and the caretaker too did not mind it. Soon the dog too became very healthy. One day, a farmer saw the dog and asked the caretaker if he would sell the dog to him. He offered good money for the dog, although the dog did not belong to the caretaker. He accepted the money and gave the dog to the farmer. After the farmer took the dog away, the royal elephant became very sad. He lost his only friend in the royal stable. He missed his friend during meal times and refused to eat or drink, and soon became very weak. The news of the elephant's failing health quickly reached the king. He rushed to the royal stable to inquire. The caretaker knew why the elephant was so desolate and refused food and water, but he did not speak up. He was afraid that if the king came to know that he sold a dog which was not rightfully his, he would be punished. So he feigned ignorance. The royal vet was called to check the health of the elephant. Even after through examination, the vet was unable to ascertain why the elephant was not eating and drinking. He concluded that being an emotional animal, the elephant was very sad about something. The king's guards questioned all the servants in the stable to find out what could be the reason for the royal elephant's sorrow.
They came to know about the dog who lived with the elephant and was his close friend. They also came to know that the dog has been missing since the last few days. The king called his chief minister, told him about the whole situation, and asked him for a solution. Upon the chief minister's suggestion, an announcement was made in the entire kingdom that whoever had the dog should return it immediately and he would be rewarded handsomely. The farmer heard the announcement and immediately reached the king's palace along with the dog. He told the king that he had bought the dog from the caretaker of the royal elephant. The caretaker was called immediately and he confessed selling the dog even though he had no right to do so. The king ordered the dog to be returned to the stable alongside the elephant. The caretaker was ordered to return the farmer's money. He was also ordered to look after the dogs as well along with the elephant. The royal elephant was very happy to see his friend back. Food was served to both of them and they ate together.
The Frogs and the Ox. It was a warm and sultry day. All the animals were keen to cool off by the waterside. Ox, in particular, was feeling very hot after a hard day's work. So off he went to his favorite pond. Once there, he splashed and wallowed and stamped. He was having a wonderful time, washing away the mud and strain of pulling a cart. Suddenly he felt something soft and slimy beneath his hoof. He lifted it up and saw that he had squashed a young frog. The frog's brothers had witnessed the whole thing and whooped off at once to tell their mother. A monster has just trampled on our youngest brother, Mama. It is still there. What shall we do? They asked in fear. How big was this monster? Asked their mother. It was huge, much bigger than anything we have ever seen. Their mother puffed herself up to an enormous size. Was it this big? The little frogs shook their heads. Much, much bigger, they said. Was it this big? Their mother puffed herself up even more bigger than she had ever gone before. She could not imagine anything bigger. Oh, Mama, you are not even close. We told you it was a monster, not a frog. The old frog tried again. This time she puffed with all her might, determined to be as big as the monster her sons had seen. She puffed and puffed and puffed until at last she burst. The Stag and His Reflection. A stag one day was studying his reflection in the crystal clear waters of the forest lake. He looked at his antlers and then he looked at his legs. He looked at his legs and then he looked at his antlers. The stag was not satisfied at all. I have such beautiful antlers, but I have such skinny piddled legs. It, if only my legs were a little muscular. While the stag was busy studying his reflection, he did not notice that a panther was creeping up behind him. Suddenly, he heard a twig crack and knew straight away that it was being stalked. Stag sprang into a sprint and nimbly dogged his way through the forest. He was suddenly very grateful for his spindly legs. All at once, however, he found himself tangled in the branches above his head. The panther was gaining on him. The stag realized that his antlers really were much less useful than his legs. In this case, and that's very soon he was about to become the panther's supper. The wild boar and his tusks. It was a fairly pleasant Sunday afternoon in the wild forest of talking animals. Most of the creatures saw this as a time to relax. Fox was also in the mood to relax. He thought he would take off some time for his busy hunting schedule to visit his friend the wild boar. When he reached Boar's house, he saw that Boar was very busy. "What are you doing?" asked Fox. Boar was rubbing his tusks against a sturdy tree stump. "I'm preparing myself for an attack," replied Boar, as he stopped to take a breath. "I don't see any danger of that," laughed Fox. "But if there is an attack, my friend, I won't have to sharpen my tusks. I must be prepared just in case." Fox could only nod and agree. The Cock and the Fox. One afternoon, Cock was taking a nap up in his roost. After a while, Fox ambled by. He just caught sight of Cock's bright red comb and thought of a cunning plan to lure him down. Fox's mouth had already started watering at the thought of some delicious cockerel pie. "I have some very exciting news," called Fox. The Cock's eyes were still closed, but he recognized Fox's voice instantly. Not bothering to open his eyes, he asked him what the exciting news was. "I'm surprised you haven't already heard," began Fox. "It's really quite astounding. There was a meeting earlier today between foxes and fowl, and they have decided on a peace agreement. From now on, we shall all be friends. Not a single creature shall be our enemy. Please come down and let us embrace." Cock knew that this was a trick, so he thought of a trick of his own for Fox. "That's wonderful news, Fox," said Cock, staring off into the distance. Look, the dogs are coming to celebrate too. Fox suddenly felt very nervous. I have just remembered, Cock, I have some very important business to attend to. But Fox called Cow. The dogs are your friends too. But Fox didn't wait around to hear Cock. He had already run off into the distance.
Ravana, the king of Lanka, had abducted Sita from her ashram in the forest when her husband Rama was away hunting. Ravana carried her to his kingdom Lanka and held her captive. Rama found a fierce battle with Ravana to win Sita back. As Ravana starts losing the battle, he reaches out to his brother Kumbhakarna to help him win. Here is the scene one for you to understand. Ravana returned from the battlefield after sunset. He had suffered heavily in the war with Rama. Ravana was wounded physically and of his pride as a mighty warrior. His minister, aides, and family were in a dismal mood. Ravana: "O minister, go and wake my brother Kumbhakarna and ask him to be ready for the battle tomorrow. Of what use is his enormous strength and appetite if he cannot get up, crush, and kill as many of my enemies as possible?" So the minister says, "As you command, my king." Ravana had a younger brother named Kumbhakarna who was a huge and hungry giant. He required a great deal of food and devoured everything that came in his way. He would sleep for 6 months. The next 6 months he would be awake and be free to roam and to eat whatever he chose to. The minister ordered the cooks in the palace to start preparing food to serve him when he woke up. Minister: "Prince and able brother, our king has returned from the battlefield, wounded by a mortal called Rama. I am here to convey our king's wish that you should prepare yourself for the battle." Kumbhakarna angrily: "Minister, tell my brother that I am going to the battlefield right now. I shall kill those troublesome mortals." Minister says, "Prince, before proceeding to the battlefield, please meet your brother." Kumbhakarna says, "Yes, I shall meet my brother." Kumbhakarna enters Ravana's court and was received warmly by Ravana. Kumbhakarna says, "Salutations, the mighty king of Lanka. I know you would not have woken me up without a reason. Your order is my command. Please tell me what I should do so that you are relieved of your worries." Ravana says, "I am glad to see you and also rejuvenated by your words. I have gained 1,000 elephant strength by your presence. An ordinary man, Rama, along with his brother Lakshmana and some monkey troops, have swarmed our island. They built a bridge of stones to cross the ocean and laid siege to our fort. Now go and destroy them." Kumbhakarna says, "Brother, you abducted Sita stealthily and forcefully. This was bound to happen." Ravana furiously says, "I have no time for your advice. Now I order you to go to the battlefield and finish off those monkeys and the mortals, our brother Vibhishana has joined hands with Rama. Kumbhakarna says, Brother Vibhishana is correct? He is supporting Rama because he knows of your bad deeds? However, I am at your service. I am indebted to your hospitality and duty bound as your brother. I shall go and kill your enemies. Vibhishana had joined Rama's army because he was unhappy with Ravana's deed. At the battlefield, Kumbhakarna crushed the army of monkeys with an iron mace and killed them. Soon he came face to face with Rama and Lakshmana. An arrow from Rama's bow pierced Kumbhakarna's mighty arm. He rushed blindly at Rama, but another arrow from Rama struck him at his head. The ground shuddered as he fell to the earth and died. Some of the Rakshasas ran towards the palace to share the news of Kumbhakarna's death. Rakshasa says, King, Ravana, our mighty prince, was killed by Rama's arrows. He fought valiantly. Ravana being emotional, my mighty Kumbhakarna, how can an ordinary man kill you? How can I bear your loss? How can I live without you? I was so sure of your victory today and awaited your jubilant return to our palace. Now everything is gone. My dear Kumbhakarna, I shall avenge your death. Hi kids, this is the end of Kumbhakarna's story. So Kumbhakarna's story reminds us of a duty-bound brother whose undisputed loyalty made him sacrifice his life. He knew his fatal end, but served his brother's command. On the contrary, Ravana's other brother Vibhishana placed righteousness above loyalty. Long ago, there was a king who had deep affection for all the animals, especially elephants. He had built a very large stable for his royal elephant. A caretaker was appointed to make sure that all the needs of the royal elephant were met. The king had also ordered that special nutritious food be served to the elephant every day to keep him healthy. One afternoon, a stray dog entered the royal stable. The elephant was resting under a shady tree. The dog spotted the food left over by the elephant and ate to its heart's content. The elephant saw the dog eating the leftover food. From that day on, the elephant gladly let the dog share his food. Soon the two became very good friends. The dog started staying in the stable and the caretaker too did not mind it. Soon the dog too became very healthy. One day, a farmer saw the dog and asked the caretaker if he would sell the dog to him. He offered good money for the dog, although the dog did not belong to the caretaker. He accepted the money and gave the dog to the farmer. After the farmer took the dog away, the royal elephant became very sad. He lost his only friend in the royal stable. He missed his friend during meal times and refused to eat or drink and soon became very weak. The news of the elephant's failing health quickly reached the king. He rushed to the royal stable to inquire. The caretaker knew why the elephant was so desolate and refused food and water, but he did not speak up. He was afraid that if the king came to know that he sold a dog which was not rightfully his, he would be punished. So he feigned ignorance. The royal vet was called to check the health of the elephant. Even after through examination, the vet was unable to ascertain why the elephant was not eating and drinking. He concluded that being an emotional animal, the elephant was very sad about something. The king's guards questioned all the servants in the stable to find out what could be the reason for the royal elephant's sorrow. They came to know about the dog who lived with the elephant and was his close friend. They also came to know that the dog has been missing since the last few days. The king called his chief minister, told him about the whole situation, and asked him for a solution. Upon the chief minister's suggestion, an announcement was made in the entire kingdom that whoever had the dog should return it immediately, and he would be rewarded handsomely. The farmer heard the announcement and immediately reached the king's palace along with the dog. He told the king that he had bought the dog from the caretaker of the royal elephant. The caretaker was called immediately and he confessed selling the dog even though he had no right to do so. The king ordered the dog to be returned to the stable alongside the elephant. The caretaker was ordered to return the farmer's money. He was also ordered to look after the dogs as well along with the elephant. The royal elephant was very happy to see his friend back. Food was served to both of them and they ate together.
The Gnat and the Bull. One day, a gnat was out and about. He had decided that he would travel far and explore. He was feeling very brave and important and was certain that he would discover new lands never before seen by anyone in the gnat kingdom. After buzzing around for a while, the gnat realized that he was quite tired. Soon he spotted Bull grazing in the fields and thought it would be good to land on his horns. He flew and buzzed around Bull's head, trying to catch his attention. But Bull was quite absorbed in his grazing. Gnat landed anyway and took a little rest. After some time, Gnat decided it was time to move on. He had much exploring to do. Again, he tried to catch Bull's attention. "Excuse me, Mr. Bull," Gnat shouted in Bull's ear. "I do apologize for resting on your horn. I hope I was not too much of a bother." Finally, Bull saw the tiny gnat. He looked very confused. "I did not even know you were there. You certainly have nothing to apologize for. You made no difference to me," replied Bull, as he squinted to get a better look at Gnat. With his head down, Gnat buzzed off. He realized that perhaps he was not as significant as he thought he was. The Frog and the Mouse. Once there was a very naughty frog who often used to tricks to try to harm others. One day he spotted a young mouse who seemed to be scurrying aimlessly by, muttering to herself, "I do wish my life were more exciting," mumbled the mouse. "I really wish I could go on an adventure." On hearing this, Frog became very excited. He had thought of the perfect nasty plan to trap the mouse. "Hey, Miss Mouse, over here," called Frog. The mouse walked over to Frog, who was looking very handsome in his green waistcoat. Mouse was already impressed. "How would you like an adventure? Come with me, and I can show you the wonderful world of water." Mouse squealed in delight. "Yes, please, but won't I drown?" Frog shook his head and showed Mouse how he would protect her. He tied one of the mouse's legs together with one of his own so that he would always be attached to him, and then they set off. Soon Mouse grew bored and cold in the water. She was getting hungry and wanted to go home. Frog, though, had other plans. He drowned poor Mouse and was getting ready to make a meal of her. All of a sudden, however, an eagle flew overhead. He saw the dead mouse and wanted to eat it himself. He swooped down and grabbed Mouse, who was still attached to Frog. Lucky Eagle had just got himself 2 meals for the price of 1. The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. There once lived a very hungry wolf who lived just on the edge of a pasture. Every day he would see a flock of sheep enjoying the sweet grass. From dawn till dusk, his stomach would growl and his mouth would water, but he could not get close enough to the sheep to be able to catch them. All day long, the shepherd boys guarded the sheep and always managed to spot the wolf before he could approach. Now one day the wolf spotted a discarded sheepskin on the ground, which fitted snugly around his own shoulders. He wore it for a day and was able to approach the flock of sheep undetected. Soon a lamb came by and followed the wolf in the sheepskin away from the rest of the flock. One day, Wolf finally had a good meal. "How clever I am," thought the wolf. "I will join the flock again tomorrow, and then I shall have another satisfying meal." The wolf slept peacefully that night, and in the morning he was ready to enter the flock again. Everything was going according to the plan. He even managed to slaughter around lamb for lunch. But in the evening, the wolf's luck changed. The farmer decided that he would like a meal of mutton chops for supper. He went out into the flock and took the first sheep he could lay his hands on, which happened to be the wolf in sheep's clothing. The wolf was caught out and slaughtered immediately, and that was end of that. The Fisherman and the Little Fish. One day, a poor fisherman was trying to catch fish for his family. He had been standing in the water all day but managed only to catch small fish. Eventually, it was time for the fisherman to have one last attempt at catching a decent sized fish. But the poor man only managed to catch a tiny little flounder. Please, please let me go, said the fish. Why should I? Asked the fisherman. Because I am small and barely enough for a mouthful. You can catch me when I am bigger, and then I shall make a much more satisfying meal. The fisherman did not pay any attention. He continued to pack up his equipment as he put the little fish into his bucket. With his other catches of the day, he knew that a small fish was better than no fish at all. The Wolf and the Mother. One day, a wolf was prowling around a village. Suddenly, he heard a small human child crying. His ears pricked up immediately at the sound, so he listened attentively in case there was any chance that this child could become his prey. Just then, the child's mother called, "You must stop crying, little one. If you carry on in this way, I shall feed you to the wolf." The wolf was delighted. He rushed to the house where the crying was coming from and waited patiently all day for the child's mother to come out with the meal for the wolf. As the sun crept lower into the sky, the wolf grew hungrier and hungrier because, although the child kept on fussing and crying, the mother never did bring out her infant. Finally, the mother's voice was heard again. "Hush, my darling," she began in a much softer tone. "I will not feed you to the wolf. Your father will be home soon, and then he will shoot the wolf with his rifle." The wolf sprang to his feet and managed to escape just as the father and his dogs were approaching the house. The Town Mouse and the Country Mouse. There were once two mice who were very good friends, but one lived in the countryside and one lived in the town. One day, the town mouse came to stay with his friends in the country. He was very excited about all the things they would do together, and Country Mouse was very excited to show his friend the way he lived. During the visit, Country Mouse prepared all his favorite food for his friend. He gave him acorns, nuts, berries, and grains of wheat from the field. They were all washed down with some fresh water from the stream that flowed by his house. To him, it was the most delicious food they could be. However, his friends seemed to find the food bland and boring. He hardly touched the simple feast his friend had out before him. "You should visit me in town," said his friend. "There is so much more to see and do. There are cheeses and meats that you could not even begin to imagine." The country mouse agreed straight away, and that night dreamed of delicious, rich food and wine. The following day they arrived in town. They got a carriage to the mansion where Town Mouse lived. They were greeted by Town Mouse butler and were shown to the dining room. On the table were all the humans' leftovers. There was chicken and ham, cheese and wine, and all sorts of food that Country Mouse could not even identify. The two friends climbed up on the table and started to eat. Suddenly, the cat sprang up behind the two mice, forcing them to run into Town Mouse hole to safety. Country Mouse was panting with fear. "Oh, don't worry about the cat," said Town Mouse. "He likes to chase us away from the food. When he takes a nap, we can try again." But Country Mouse was too scared to try again. He had decided that he would go home, and when his friend asked him why, he said, "I may be poor and simple, but my belly is always full, and I do not live in fear." The Dog and the Shepherd. There was a village. In the village, there lived a shepherd. He had many sheep. The shepherd had a dog which kept a watch on the sheep. The shepherd trusted him and took good care of him. One day, the shepherd went out for some work. He left the dog to guard the sheep. When he returned, he saw blood on the dog's mouth. He counted the number of the sheep. He found that one sheep was missing from the flock. The shepherd found the missing sheep behind the bushes. It was dead. He also found the dog's hair near the body. The shepherd became angry. He decided to punish the dog. The dog cried, "Master, do not punish me. I killed only one sheep." The shepherd replied, "You have cheated me, but I trusted you. Nothing can change that." Saying so, the shepherd chased the dog away. The wrong advice. A man possessed a goat and an ass. The ass worked very hard and was rewarded with lots of food. The goat did not like this and became jealous. One day, the goat said to the ass, "You work very hard without any rest, so that next time the master takes you for work, act as if you're tired. Then pretend to faint and fall into a ditch. By doing this, you will not have to work and you can take lots of rest." The next day, as planned, the ass fell into a ditch, but he was badly hurt. The man took the ass to the doctor. The doctor suggested, "We will have to pour the lungs of a goat on the ass wound to heal him." The man went home, killed the goat, and took her lungs to the doctor. The ass was healed. The gullible priest. Once a priest was gifted a cow for his services to a rich man. The priest was very happy. As the priest was taking the cow home, 3 thieves saw him. They wanted the cow for themselves and decided to befool the priest. The first thief approached the priest and asked him, "Dear washerman, where are you taking the donkey?" The priest replied, "I am a priest and this is a cow." After some time, the second thief met him and asked, "Why are you walking with the dog?" The priest was confused but walked towards his house. A little later, the third thief asked, "Why are you taking a wild animal home with you?" The priest got scared. He thought that the cow was a devil which changed forms. He hastily left the cow on the road and ran home. The thieves laughed heartily. Then they took the cow away. The will. A man was very unhappy with his 3 daughters. The first daughter, though beautiful, was lazy. The second was a miser, and the third played all the time. When the man died, he left a will. The will stated that the man's property be divided equally among the 3 daughters, but none of them should be able to make use of it. Also, each daughter should give 1,000 gold coins to her mother after receiving the property. The next day, the mother told everyone about the will. She asked for a solution. Just then, a wise man said, "The lazy daughter should be given the village property. The miserly daughter should be given a big house, and the playful daughter should be given lots of clothes. The daughters would have what they did not want and would sell them. After selling, all the 3 could give their mother 1,000 gold coins each." The wolf on trial. A wolf had killed a bear. He was put on trial. The lion called all the animals. The animals were very angry with the wolf. As he had killed someone, they all laughed. The bear had been kind to everybody and was greatly respected. When the trial began, the lion said, "Anyone who wants to speak against the wolf, please come forward." The rabbit said, "I saw the wolf snatch honey from the bear and run away." One by one, many animals gave evidence against the wolf. Finally, the sparrow said, "Oh, it was a sad sight to see. I saw from the tree that this cruel wolf killed the bear." The lion ordered, "Since there are so many witnesses, I order that the wolf be killed at once." The wolf cried and asked for forgiveness. Then he hung his head down in shame. The rats and the cheese. Once there was a rat kingdom. A wise king ruled it. One day, the Rat King went out of his kingdom. On the way, he found some good cheese. He bought the delicious cheese and decided to distribute it among his people. When the king returned, he called his minister and said, "Take this cheese and distribute it to all the rats in the kingdom. You can keep some for yourself for your good work." Now, as soon as the ministers took the cheese, their mouths started watering. They ate some of it and kept for their families. Now, the rats of the kingdom did not receive any of it. When the Rat King came to know about this, he was angry with his ministers and scolded them. Then he immediately banished all the ministers from his kingdom and appointed some honest rats in his ministers. The wise dog. A dog decided to go on a walk along the river. His mother warned him by saying, "Do not go too close to the river. It is full of monsters that eat living beings." The dog said, "Yes, mother, I will not." Then he left. After walking for a few miles, the dog felt thirsty. However, he remembered his mother's warning and did not go near the river. A cunning crocodile was watching the dog. He wanted to eat him. So he called out to the dog, "You seem to be thirsty. Come and have a drink. We can be friends as well." However, the dog ignored the crocodile and did not go near the water. Then he ran home and told his mother about the crocodile. His mother was very pleased with him. She patted him on his back for being a good dog. Once upon a time, there lived a young boy with his widow mother. They were very poor and worked on a daily wages to earn a livelihood. One day, a man visited them and said, "Aladdin, I'm your uncle. Come with me and I'll make you rich." His mother was very happy to hear this, and she sent Aladdin with his uncle. The uncle took Aladdin away from the city. They then came to a palace where there was an underground cave. The uncle gave him a magic ring and sent him down to retrieve an old lamp. Aladdin couldn't understand anything, but he was afraid of his uncle, so he did as he was told. Inside the cave, he found many jewels and treasures, and then saw an old dusty lamp in a corner. He picked the lamp and then filled his pockets with all types of jewels. Then he reached at the mouth of the cave and asked his uncle to pick him up, but the uncle wanted the lamp first. Aladdin refused, and so the uncle, who was actually a magician, left him there and closed the door of the cave. In frustration, Aladdin started rubbing his ring. Suddenly, a genie appeared from it and called him master. He ordered the genie to take him home, and in a moment he was in front of his mother. His mother was very happy to see all the jewels. She then started cleaning the old lamp to make use of it. Suddenly, smoke started coming out of the lamp, and then emerged a big genie. This genie made them very rich in a short time. One day, Aladdin saw the princess in the market. He fell in love with her. He sent his mother with lots of jewels and all types of riches to the palace to ask for the princess' hand. When the king saw so much of wealth, he agreed for the marriage, and soon Aladdin and the princess got married. The genie of the lamp made a big palace for them to live in. One day, when Aladdin was out for some work, the magician came back to the city in the disguise of a trader. He was shouting, "Take new lamps for old ones." When the princess heard this, she sent down the magic lamp to get a new one. As soon as the magician got his hand on the magic lamp, he ordered the genie to take the whole palace along with the princess to his place. When Aladdin returned, he found his palace and wife missing. Somebody told him about the old man selling lamps, and he knew that it was a wicked magician. He then rubbed his magic ring and ordered the genie to take him to his wife. When the princess saw Aladdin, she burst into tears. He asked her where the magician lamp is, and she told him that the magician always keeps it with himself. Aladdin and his wife made a plan to trick the magician. Every night, the magician would go to the princess and ask her to marry him. That night, when he went to her, she spoke sweetly with him, gave him the poison juice to drink. As soon as he drank the juice, he fell down dead. Aladdin then took the lamp from his shirt's pocket and ordered the genie to take the palace back to its place. The king, who was mourning the death of his daughter, couldn't believe his eyes when he saw Aladdin's palace again. He ran inside and was greeted by Aladdin and the princess. The king was so pleased with his son-in-law that he made him his heir, and after king's death, Aladdin became the new sultan. He always kept the ring and the lamp safely. After all, they brought him good fortune. The Wolf and the Crane. One day, as Crane was standing in the lake, enjoying the feel of the fish as they swam about her legs, she heard a terrible choking sound. She looked up from her fishing and searched for where the sound might be coming from. Finally, she spotted Wolf rolling about on the floor. He looked as if he was choking on something. Quickly, Crane went over to look. She dared not come too close in case this was another one of the wolf's tricks. He, help me, he gasped. I have a bone stuck in my throat and only you can pull it out. I promise to reward you if you help me. But this time, Wolf was wheezing quite badly and Crane was feeling quite worried for him. Crane thought for a moment and the idea of a reward sounding good to her. She was sure she was safe from the wolf eating her, so she agreed to help. Slowly since time began have always bowed when the wind has blown. Sometimes they bend their backs until their heads touch the ground. The mighty oak tree, on the other hand, stands tall and proud and refuses to bend even a little. One day, as the wind howled through the reeds, making them bow and sing their sad songs of loss and sorrow, Oak decided that he would give them some advice. You should stand tall and firm like me. I bow to no one, he said proudly. But we bow out of the choice, Oak. If we did not bow, then we would break. You think nothing is strong enough to break you? But soon you will see our wisdom. There is a great storm coming. Oak laughed and said, I suppose you cannot help but bend. You are so thin and small after all. I am big and strong. I will not bow. The next day, just as the reeds had predicted, a huge storm dragged through the entire valley. The wind howled even louder than before, and soon it became a hurricane. Houses were lifted off. Hi everyone, how are you doing? Hope you're doing good. Okay, so today I have come up with a topic of forgiveness. Okay, so let's try and understand what is forgiveness and what we have to do and how does it work. Okay, so let's quickly start off and know about this topic. Okay. Once there was a very rich man. He had 2 sons. The first son was hardworking. He always obeyed his father. The second son was very lazy. He did not work in his father's field, nor did he look after his cattle. He felt his father had lot of riches, but was not allowing him to enjoy the wealth and live a luxurious life. One day he said to his father, "Father, give me my share of my property. I want to live my life as I please." The father was very surprised and sad, and also he was very sad. But he did not oppose. He divided the property between his two sons. The younger son left home with his share. He went to a distant land. There he made a lot of friends. He spent his money lavishly on his friends, food and drinks. After he had spent everything, he was left with nothing. There was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. He looked for his friends, hoping they would help him. They did not come to him anymore, so he decided to work at a stable of a rich man. One day he was so hungry that he began to eat of the food that was given to the pigs at the stable. One day he began to think. He said to himself, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am eating with the pigs. I will go back to my father. I will beg him to take me as a servant." He felt very sorry for what he did and hoped that the father would hire him as a servant. So the prodigal son set out for his father's house. In the meantime, his father was always thinking of his younger son. All day long, he would look out of the window expecting the son to return. So while the son was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to meet his son, threw his arm around him and kissed him. The son was ashamed. He said, "Father, I am sinned against God and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Make arrangements for a big party. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For his son of mine was lost and he found again." So they began to celebrate. The father forgave his son in spite of all the mistakes he had done because he loved him dearly. The eldest son was returning from his work. He heard the sound of the music and dance from his house, and one of the servants and asked him what was going on. "Your brother has come back," he replied, "and your father has arranged a party." The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, "Look, all these years I have been helping you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet never gave me a few coins so that I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours who squandered your money in wild parties come home, you are spending so much money in celebrations." His father replied, "My dear son, you are always with me. All my property is yours. Your younger brother was a good as deed. Now he is alive. He was lost. Now he is found. Therefore, should we not rejoice?" The elder son understood the love behind the words of his father. He realized the unconditional love of his father. He forgave his brother and decided to make and take a party in the celebration. So, this is the end of the short story I wanted to discuss about. So always remember, parents are our well-wishers. We must respect and obey them. God is our merciful. He forgives all our evil deeds. So we must realize our mistakes and go back to Him and say sorry. He forgives us because He loves us. We should also forgive others. Forgiveness helps us to move ahead and start on a fresh note. What do you think? Hope you have liked this short story. So next time I'll come up with a new story and make you more happy. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Hi everyone. How are you all doing? Hope you're doing good. I'm doing good. Today I have picked up a short story, which is something that we all need to follow that, without fail. So let's quickly try and understand and get to know about this story. Okay then, let's start off. Naman got up from his bed half-heartedly. He didn't want to go to school. His heart was beating fast. He didn't want to face Vikram, the junior school bully. I will reach the bus stop just when the bus arrives so that Vikram won't be able to trouble me, decided Naman. But his plan didn't work. The bus was late. Naman tried to hide behind the other kids, but Vikram's sharp eyes spotted him. Hey, are you hiding? Scary cat? Vikram sneered at Naman. Scary cat, scary cat. Naman is a scary cat, sang Vikram's friends. Naman moved back and tried to join the other students at the bus stop, but Vikram stood in his way like a wall. Pass on your lunchbox to me, else you know what I can do, Vikram threatened, closing his hands into a fist. Naman's mother was in the catering business, and she always packed something special in Naman's lunchbox. Every morning, Vikram snatched Naman's lunchbox and ate all the food that Naman's mother packed for him. So, Naman had to stay hungry all day in school. What will I eat then? Naman asked with a sob. Here, eat this, said Vikram mockingly, tossing back Naman's almost empty lunchbox. There were many students in Naman's new class. Some of them seemed good to Naman. During breaks, a girl in Naman's class called out to him, Hi, I know you are new to class and don't have many friends. I can be your friend if you like. I am Sanjana, he said. You need not worry. We can help you deal with bullies like Vikram. Can't we, Sanjana? Said Garima. Of course we can. Last year, the school counselor Avinash sir taught us how to deal with bullies, said Sanjana. He said we should ignore them, said Karima. I do that all the time, but it never works, said Naman. The second method is to stand up to the bully. Look straight in the eye and tell him firmly, Don't you bully me anymore. I will not let you trouble me. Then he won't do it again, said Sanjana. If even that doesn't work, then you must ask an adult or a friend for help, said Garima. Bullies get scared if you involve elders, she added, sounding very wise. Cheered by the support from Sanjana and Garima, Naman was determined not to take any more bullying from Vikram and his friends. In the afternoon, Naman and the rest of the class headed to the playground. When Naman reached the basketball, Vikram and his friends pushed him and he fell. Weakling, ask your mom to feed you more. Vikram sneered. I must stay strong. I must not take this anymore, Naman said to himself. He got up, took a deep breath, looked straight at Vikram and said, Stop it, Vikram. I will not let you treat me this way. Naman waited for the famous Vikram punch, but Vikram just stood there, his mouth slightly open. A moment later, Naman heard Vikram tell his gang, Come on, we'll deal with him later. The next morning, Naman actually looked forward to school, but the moment he reached his bus stop, Vikram was there again, demanding Naman's lunchbox. Naman looked at Sanjana and Garima, who were at the bus stop. He swallowed hard and said in the loudest voice that he could manage, No, I won't give it to you. It's my lunch. Vikram moved towards Naman with his fist raised, but he noticed Sanjana and Garima, the other kids, standing right behind Naman, ready to come to his rescue. Vikram quietly retreated and joined his friends. Sanjana and Garima were happy. They said to Naman, From now on, Vikram will think twice before he tries to bully you. You don't have to be rude or bully back, but you must stand strong and defend yourself, said Sanjana, giving Naman a high five. So friends, this is the end of the story. So always remember, bullying is really unacceptable. It is very bad. Okay, so always remember, we should not try to bully anyone by our words or through actions. A bully is a coward who exhibits bad and unacceptable behavior. So always stand against the bully. Okay, never give up. Okay, we should always, we should not get emotional and handle the crisis. We should be bold enough to rectify our problems. Hope you have liked my short story. So next time I'll come up with a good story and a nice story. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Hi everyone, how are you all doing? Hope you're doing good. I'm doing good as well. Thank you so much. So today I have chosen the topic of self-esteem. So let's try and understand why is it important being special. So every individual, every human being, animal, insect, swarm, everything, whichever is made by God or whatever the powers we have, why is that we are so special? So let's try and appreciate everyone. And the foothills of the Himalayas are home to several forests with many big and small trees. These trees look great. One day, all the trees got into a discussion to find who was the best among them. Got it? So let's see. The coconut tree looked at the teak tree and said, I am very thin and ugly. My shape is not very appealing. I have a rough body full of scars. But how beautiful you look. You are so strong that no rain, no sun, nor cold can even harm you. No insects bore holes in your bark. So let's see what happens next. Okay? In reply, the teak tree looked at the mango tree and said, Coconut tree is praising me, but I'm not as good as you are. I admire your large, beautiful, sweet tasting, juicy fruits. You look a lot to others. Your fruit is called the king of the fruits. Also, I feel I am not even as good looking as you. On listening to the teak tree's comments, the mango tree gave an envious look at the rose bush and said, I really envy you. You look so beautiful. With a lot of pink and red, sweet scented flowers, many colorful butterflies like to fly around you. The bees flock to you for honey. People love to plant you in their gardens. Your flowers are very good and are used to make perfumes and garlands. The rose bush was not very happy to hear this compliment, except, I think I'm not worthy of any kind of praise. Then the rose plant looked at the neem tree and said, You look green and fresh. Your leaves and twigs have medicinal values, but I'm thorny. What shall I do with the beauty of my flowers? Nobody likes to touch me because they would not want to get hurt. Hearing this, the neem tree said, Perhaps you're right, but I am not as useful as the banyan tree. It looked at the banyan tree and said, You are really strong tree. You're so big and large. No one can guess where your roots end or your roots as well as branches are so tough and yet so supple. They can easily be bent but cannot be broken. But look at my branches, how easily they break off, causing me pain and sorrow. The banyan tree then turned around the bubble tree and said, Oh friend, your branches are very useful. Your trunk is used for firewood. You burn quickly and provide an inexpensive and easy fuel for the poor and needy people. The bubble tree then had a look at Peepal tree and said, Your branches look so wonderful. You have rich foliage. All the passers-by rest in your shade. Many beautiful birds come to nest in you, but I am just a cluster of thorny branches and rugged skinny trunk. I bear no fruit. I cannot even give shade to anybody. I feel so useless. The peepal tree turned to the coconut tree and said, How good you look. You're tall. You are bear refreshing and nourishing fruits, but I have nothing to offer except my leaves. You're generous. You're so productive. I wish I could be like you. A wise oak tree in the middle of the garden spoke up. Do you all realize that your appreciation of the other has come a full circle? Each of you failed to recognize the good in yourself, but could see the good in others. There is no need to fear and feel inferior. All of us have something good, and we all are very, very special. Likewise, we are all born unique with some exceptional qualities that others do not have. We should thank God for the qualities He has given to us. We should be content with what we have and should never be jealous of someone else's good qualities. We must also not feel inferior when we see someone is better than us in some area. Self-esteem is having confidence in our own worth and ability. Right? Always remember, your self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. For example, if you have low self-esteem, You do not like yourself. You do not think that you are a valuable person, and therefore you do not behave confidently. So try to focus on your strength to help raise your self-esteem. You are unique, therefore there is no room for comparison with others. You can observe and learn from others and become a better person. Okay, so hope you have enjoyed this short story. We'll come up with a new short story. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Hi everyone, how are you all doing? Hope you're doing good. So today I wish you have a very great day. So I have come up with the topic and a quick story of contentment. And I mean, why is it so important to celebrate everyone's success and also your own success? Okay, so let's find out and quickly know about this story. Roxy was a little parrot who lived with his mother in a nest. One day, Roxy came home upset and confused. "What's the matter, dear?" his mother asked. "I hate my beak. It's so funny," Roxy said. "Why do you hate your beak? Nothing is wrong with it," his mother said reassuringly. "All the other birds have much cooler beaks. Spoonbill, Pammy Pelican, Harry Hawk, Freddie Finch, all of them." Roxy's mother sat silently for a moment. "He may be right," she thought to herself. "They do have very cool beak. You should go and see Wise Macaw. He'll tell you what to do. He's the wisest of the parrots and lives in the tallest tree in the forest. He can certainly help you," said Roxy's mother. So Roxy flew to find the Wise Macaw. He saw the Wise Macaw on a tall tree. "Good morning, sir. I have come here with a problem. Will you help me to sort it out?" asked Roxy. "Oh dear, what is it?" asked the Wise Macaw. "I don't like my beak. Why can't I have a cool beak like Sully Spoonbill, Pammy Pelican, Harry Hawk or Freddie Finch?" "You are right," said the macaw. "They do have cool beaks. Tell me, Roxy, do you like eating worms and crustaceans?" "Yuck, that would be disgusting," responded Roxy. "Well, that's what the spoonbill's beak is designed for. What about fish?" "I couldn't think of anything worse," said Roxy. "So the pelican's beak would not work either. What about rabbits and mice?" "Yikes," said Rocky's frowning. "Okay, so maybe you shouldn't aspire to have a hawk's beak. They are so bad and smelly. I do not even go near them. My favorite food is Brazil nuts," said Roxy, salivating at the thought. "That's lucky. I think I have a few here. Would you like to eat one?" asked the Wise Macaw. Roxy's eyes lit up. "Yes, please." "Tell me, Roxy, if you had the beak of a spoonbill, pelican, hawk or finch, do you think that you could eat the Brazil nut?" Roxy thought for a while. "I guess not," said Roxy with his mouth full. "You see, young parrot, you have been designed a certain way for your own good. Don't waste your life being envious on others. Just make sure that you know what you're good at and do it well." Roxy nodded his head understandingly. Now he was fully convinced. He was much more content too. So he flew back home to his mother, satisfied to know that his beak was designed for a specific purpose. Remember, children, don't worry about the skills and attributes of others. They have their own purpose that probably won't suit you. You have the ability to do remarkable things just you are. Work on your abilities, do good using your own skills, and change the world. So always remember, instead of feeling jealous of others' good points, we should identify our plus points and work hard to develop and groom them. Be content with what we have. We should be happy, and we should also celebrate others' success. We should feel happy, and you'll have to appreciate the good things we see in our friends. We are all wonderful, created by God, and that is for a purpose, for a reason. Know your reason and use all your talents and skills to fulfill that, right? So hope you have liked the story, and please do motivate everyone. Motivate yourself. Find out what is good in you. Bring that out and fulfill your dreams, right? Hope you have liked the story. So I'll meet you all for the next short and quick story. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Hi and hello to everyone. How are you all doing? Hope you all are doing good. I'm doing good too. Thank you so much. So today I have come up with a story of forgiveness, that is being sorry. So let's quickly start off with this short story and understand why is it important and why is it always good to tell sorry, right? So let's quickly start off. So this story is all about the power of saying sorry, okay? So let's start off. Suraj was a bright student. He was good at all subjects, okay? Besides, he took interest in sports and extracurricular activities too. He had many friends. His teachers were very fond of him. Suraj's midterm exam were approaching. If I want to win the all-rounder trophy, I must do really well, he told his friends. The exams began. On the first day, Suraj was seated in front of Kamal. His pencil had fallen down. Kamal picked it up and tapped Suraj to give it back to him. The teacher thought they were cheating in the exam. She said, "Hey, are you cheating? I won't allow this." She grabbed both the boys' test papers and told them to sit away from each other. Suraj was furious. This would spoil his chance of winning the trophy. Now, not only would his friends tease him, but his teacher would think bad about him too. He stood up in an angry mood. Tears rolled down his cheek. "You will pay for this, Kamal," he said. Glaring at the tearful boy beside him, Kamal tried to explain the reason why he had tapped him. But Suraj was in no mood to listen. Soon it was time for the unit test. As always, Suraj studied hard as he completed his paper and placed it on the teacher's desk. He suddenly thought of a plan to get back at Kamal. He knew that the teacher would keep the test papers in the class cupboard until the end of the day. During the games period, while the rest of the class was on the playground, Suraj sneaked into the classroom, opened the cupboard, and took out Kamal's test paper. After 2 days, the teacher returned the test papers with marks. Suraj got first position in the class. Kamal did not get his test paper, so he was a bit confused. He asked his teacher for his test paper. You're curious, right? So let's see what happens next. Okay? So the teacher said, Kamal, I remember you were present on that day of the test. Then why didn't you submit your paper? But I gave you my paper, ma'am, Kamal answered. That's strange because I have searched everywhere but haven't been able to find your paper. You will have to take a retest tomorrow, said the teacher. Kamal began to cry. Suraj felt guilty. He knew how mean he had been to Kamal. He felt miserable all through the day. Should he tell his teacher the truth? If he did, wouldn't he get into trouble? But wasn't Kamal in trouble because of him? The next morning, Suraj reached school earlier than usual. He went straight to the staff room. Good morning, ma'am, said Suraj. Could I please speak to you, and could Kamal also be there? The two boys and the teacher met in a classroom. Suraj told his teacher how he had removed Kamal's paper to take revenge for what he thought Kamal had done. Turning to Kamal, he said, I am sorry for being so mean. Could you please forgive me? Kamal smiled. I am the one who needs to apologize. I should have known better than to tap you during the exam and get you into trouble. I am happy that you have settled your dispute yourself and have forgiven each other. The teacher said politely, Suraj, if you had continued to be angry with Kamal, it would only have made you sad and bitter. Now that you have made up with Kamal, you look happier and have found a new friend. All the best to both of you, said the teacher. So here ends up this short story. So what do you think? Is it good to tell sorry? Right? Forgiveness is also very important. Let's forget and forgive and move forward. Right? So always remember, okay, don't react in your anger. Be willing to talk and be patient to listen. Anger can be dangerous, okay. We must practice the policy of forgiving and forgetting. Forgiving and asking for forgiveness makes us happy and help us to enjoy that peace, right? Hope you agree with me, and hope you have liked this short story. So next time I'll come up with a new short story. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Hope you're doing good. So today I have come up with a new short story for all of you. Hope you will like it and enjoy it. Okay, so let's quickly start up. So this story is about the gold I would be talking about. Okay, so hope you will definitely enjoy it. Okay, so let's start. Maniram was a rich man. His father had given him a lot of wealth. Maniram spent a lot of it to help others. It was his nature to be helpful to everyone, so he was always surrounded by a lot of people. Soon a time came when he had nothing more to spend. All those who were coming to him suddenly disappeared. He became very poor. Only a few people were his friends now. It was a difficult time for him, but during those hard days, he never strayed from his helpful ways. He prayed to God every day to bless him enough to help the needy who came to him. He was always kind and good. He could not think of doing evil to others. One night, Maniram had a strange dream. In his dream, he met a holy man who said, Maniram, I am giving you an opportunity to get a lot of wealth. For this, come to the big tree in front of your house. You will see me coming to the shadow of that tree. I will lay down and sleep in the shade. All you have to do is to take my stick and hit me on my head. Oh God, my body will change into a heap of gold. You can take it all and spend it as you wish. Maniram saw the speaker's face very clearly. Maniram did not like the idea, but he went to the tree the next day. True to his word, the holy man came there. He looked rather tired. As soon as he reached the shadow of the tree, he put aside his stick and the long sack he carried and lay down to sleep. Nobody else was around. Maniram could easily hit the sleeping man and turn him into gold. All his worries would be over, but he would do nothing of that sort. Harming a person was violence. Though he was asked by a holy man to do it, his heart refused to do that. He decided that he could not do it even for the wealth of the entire world. He sat there looking at the face of the sleeping man for several hours. Finally, the man woke up. He asked with amazement, "Why did you not hit me? You had a chance of a lifetime. Don't worry, I will give you another chance." Maniram said, "No, thank you. Even then, I am not going to do it. I cannot hurt you. Instead, why don't you come to my house and have a frugal meal? You have not eaten for several hours now. You look too tired." The holy man smiled and got up to leave as Maniram looked on. "You will soon be prosperous," said the holy man and gave him the sack he was carrying. The next moment he was gone. Maniram was amazed. He was even more astonished. So he left from there very happily. So this is the end of the story. So we would get to know non-violence, goodness and kindness are always rewarded sooner or later. What do you think? Right? So always remember, we must use our wealth to help others. We must be good and kind no matter what situation we are in. We must avoid violence even to gain wealth. Kindness and goodness are always rewarded, right? Hope you have liked this short story. So next time I'll come up with a new story. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Hi friends, how are you all doing? Hope you're doing good. So today I have come up with a very interesting short story. This is about Miku and the kid. Okay, so let's quickly start off with the story. Okay. Miku was a poor Brahmin who lived in a small village. He earned his living by performing ritual ceremonies at people's homes. Once someone gifted him a kid. Miku was very happy to get such a precious gift. Miku carried the kid on his shoulders and was happily on his way home. As he was walking along, 3 thieves spotted him. Their eyes gleamed when they saw the little kid on Miku's shoulders. "What a plump kid the priest is carrying," one thief murmured greedily. "If only we could lay our hands on it, it would make the tastiest mutton curry. We can feast on it for days." He smacked his lips while he spoke, and his friends listened to him as their mouths watered. "We must make a plan to trick the Brahmin into parting with his kid," another thief suggested, "and I have thought of a way to do that." He whispered the idea to his friends, who cheered joyfully after listening to it. As Miku continued on his way, one of the thieves stepped onto his path. "Oh, dear sir," said the thief with an expression of shock on his face. "Why are you carrying such a dirty dog on your shoulders? A man of your status should know better than that." Miku was surprised and angry. "Are you blind?" he snapped at the thief. "Can't you see that I'm carrying a perfect little kid?" "I'm sorry," said the thief quietly, "but I don't see a kid. To my eyes, it still looks like a dog that you have across your shoulders," he said and went away. Miku was still walking along, irritated and a little confused too, when the second thief leapt him to his path. He put his hand over his mouth and said, "Good heavens, why are you carrying a dead calf on your shoulders, sir? It might have been a beautiful animal once, but now it is unfit for you to carry." Miku was filled with rage. "What do you mean?" he shouted. "This is no dead calf. Can't you see? It is a fine young kid that I carry. You may think it is a baby goat," said the thief, "but make no mistake, the animal you're carrying is a dead calf." Saying so, he quickly disappeared from that place, leaving Miku even more confused. Before long, the third thief confronted Miku. He too stared at him in shock and exclaimed, "What is wrong with you, dear sir? Why are you carrying that heaven donkey on your shoulder? It looks so strange. Miku was very confused this time. He lost faith in his own senses. What kind of an animal am I carrying? The Brahmin thought in panic. Perhaps it is a demon that can change its forms. Now Miku was scared. He threw the kid off his shoulders and ran away from that place as fast as he could. The three thieves celebrated in delight as they saw him running and quickly grabbed the little kid. In this way, Miku, the simple Brahmin, was cheated by the three thieves. Miku believed what the others told about the animal he carried, but did not believe his own eyes. He was not confident. He trusted others more than himself. Hence, he became an easy prey to the thieves. So the kid I'm talking about is a small kid. So friends, always remember the degree of self-confidence in different persons will determine whether they will be successful or not. So be confident about yourself. Confidence helps us to believe in our abilities. Listen to others, it's no harm, but the decision that you make must be based on what you believe and what you see. In our confidence level is high, we feel good about ourselves and can easily tackle the problems that come our way, right? So self-confidence helps us to make the right decision. Always have that confidence in yourself. Never get demotivated. Be positive. Spread the positive messages. Okay, so hope you have liked the story. So I'll come up with the next story. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Hi everyone, how are you all doing? Hope you're doing good. I'm doing great as well. So today I have picked up a topic of honesty. So I hope you all are aware of our father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji, right? Who is also called as Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. So I would be speaking about him and letting you know more about him. Okay, so let's quickly start off and find out what's special and what is it that we need to importantly know about our father of our nation, right? So let's quickly start off. Mahatma Gandhi's real name was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He was born on October 2nd, 1869 in Porbandar, Gujarat. He is fondly called Bapu. He led our country in our freedom struggle, so we call him Father of the Nation. He is an interesting story from his childhood. So here is an interesting story from his childhood. Okay, so let's start up and quickly know about our father. When Gandhiji was 12 years old, a British education inspector came to his school for inspection. The students were given 5 English words to spell. Gandhiji did not know the spelling of kettle. The teacher told him to cheat the spelling from his classmate, but Gandhiji refused. After the inspector left, the teacher scolded him. Such was Gandhiji's honesty even as a child. As a young man, Gandhiji tried cigarettes, ate meat and even stole money, but he felt sorry and confessed his guilt in a letter to his father. After his early education in Gujarat, Gandhiji went to England to study law. He went to South Africa where he practiced law. He came back to India in 1915 and led the freedom fight against the British rule. Gandhiji lived a truthful life. He wrote about his own life's battle against lies and falsehood in his autobiography called My Experiments with Truth. It takes courage to be honest about one's life and strive to live in a truthful life. Right, kids? Hope you have enjoyed this short story. Always remember, we should be honest in all that we do and say. One lie is enough to break the trust of a person, which is hard to build back. So build a character in such a way that when you're doing the right thing, even when there's no one looking at you, always be honest and be fair, and let's be straightforward and trust each other and be loyal as well. So let's not cheat anyone anymore. Okay, so hope you have liked this short story and enjoyed it. So next time I'll come up with a new subject with a new short story. Until then, take care. Bye bye.